Hello there, YouTube. How's it going? My name is Waba, and welcome in once again to Mental Health Monday. We are joined today by the lovely BlushingCrafter, here to talk about her experiences with eating disorders, and other mental health stuff, and more. BlushingCrafter, please introduce yourself to the chat and to the YouTubes. Tell us who you are, what you're about, and what you have dealt with in your life, because, good lord, it's probably a lot, and I know it's a lot for me as well, so yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it's a lot. I am BlushingCrafter. I don't do ages online, so I'm not gonna say that. My pronouns are she, her, and when it comes to mental health, my journey started very early on. But I will say I had an eating disorder, that is anorexia, from mid-teens to mid-20s. And then I can tell you as much as that's been many years since I got well from the eating disorder. But I do have depression, and I do have panic disorder, and that's something that's lifelong. And I do have ADHD, and I got diagnosed finally in February of this year.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
As of right now, still unmedicated, but working on that one. It is a heck of a lot of waiting.
I can imagine. So I know medication can be very tough depending on where you live. I know in the US sometimes we're a little bit too medication happy here, so I don't know what the climate over there in Europe is. If you could give us some insight on that, actually, that'd be kind of cool.
I don't know the other countries, but Norway doesn't have the throw the medication after you culture. It's, for me, the issue is that I had to wait several months to be seen by a psychiatrist, and then unfortunately that person got sick. And now I'm waiting to see another psychiatrist that has my case but hasn't gotten to go through it and discuss it with other personnel yet. So I'm going to call them actually Wednesday of this week and say, what's the situation with my case?
That's really weird, actually. So that you had a counselor, you had someone you were seeing, and then they had it dip for whatever reason, and now it's just been left hanging for a while.
The psychiatrist became sick, and it seems like the person is going to be off sick for a while. So they have to reassign my case to someone else in the same clinic.
But
so bad luck. That's what it is. Nothing to blame that person for or anything.
Okay. So just bout of bad luck. That's fine. I mean, it sucks, but like they should really be taking care of you, and you have a right to get that treatment. You know. Absolutely.
Yeah, it does suck.
Big sucks. In the meantime, what are you doing for yourself? Like, what kind of stuff have you been going through, like treatment wise, or just like self-help wise?
Oh my gosh, I have really known that something was different with my brain for so many years. And I've done bullet journaling, which I still do. That's the one thing that is actually helping me try to stay semi-organized. But things are chaos, no matter what. Because having a hyperactive brain that is going 200 kilometers an hour, I would say that's about 350, 360 miles an hour. That's very fast.
Kilometers per hour? That's quite fast.
Going through a lot of hyperactivity,
right.
Never getting to rest properly, having issues with sleep, and all the other ADHD symptoms are not being helped by any of the techniques that I have learned to use over the years. What I need, and this has also been said by psychologists I've been seeing for depression specifically, but they know about ADHD too, of course. They were saying, you've tried all of the techniques. I can't give you any more tips and ideas. You really need that psychiatrist.
Yeah,
you need to try the medication.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, that's just inherent in... Oh my god, that's so loud. It's just inherent in any... I have no idea how it sounds on stream, by the way. I have no idea how that sounding sounds on stream, but I can just see that my levels are already, like, up there. But, it's just inherent in any mental health diagnosis. Everyone responds differently to different types of treatment. for some, the behavioral side of things does and can work to help control. I don't know if control is the right word, but help manage, I suppose, ADHD. But at the end of the day, you can have all your behavioral techniques, all your journaling and whatnot, but like, if your brain's just not like literally connecting chemical to chemical and being like, oh
Yeah.
yes, we should reward things that we actually need to do and not just like random thing I'm gonna deep dive on for 500 hours instead.
Yeah, and
It's not
I will
helpful.
say that I have some tools that really are actually helping, but it's not helping with, like I'm helping myself with an alarm on my phone to take my painkiller 3 times a day because I've got chronic pain. I am managing to take my medication because of that. But I also have alarms and reminders for every single other thing. And then I have my bullet journal where I'd write down the appointments I have. I have to cross-check that and the calendar that is digital. And it's a lot of stress. It's so stressful because if I could even remember regular, normal things, like I have alarms on to eat these days. Even though I didn't used to have that many issues with that, that's also become a problem. So it's spiraling even, and that's not good.
Yeah, I agree. That's super.
I got
fucking
all
not
the
good,
self-care
but
tools.
it's also like it's also unfortunately, I hate to tell, and I'm sure you've been told this before, but that's kind of typical of what happens. That like, you get into that spiral, that ADHD spiral of like,
Yeah.
kind of overcomplicating scheduling things, but then the scheduling things kind of like overwhelms you, and then like you can't even like take care of your basics like eating and stuff. And I know a lot of people with ADHD have a problem with like just like remembering to fucking eat, or it's like when it comes to eating, then it's like nothing's like looking appetizing, or everything makes me feel awful, and that's where the eating disorder comes in.
For me, the eating disorder was actually trauma, caused by trauma, way back then. But my eating issues now is the brain going, I'm trying to cope with all of the hyperactivity and all of the other ADHD things that are going on, and I really just can't do that thing as well. That thing, unfortunately, being remembering that I need to eat. Actually, not remembering, it's more the feeling even like eating. So I'm forcing myself to eat. I have to. You
Right.
won't have physical energy or emotional energy if you don't have food in your body, right?
I suppose that's true. Yeah, I guess I could agree to that. I don't know. Like, if it works for you, go for it. I would just be personally concerned about like the forcing part. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't go on water alone
True.
or fluids alone. You can't.
True.
So
That's
small
fair.
amounts I'm managing to have several times a day, but not 6 times a day as I'm usually doing.
Is that what you would have done without like reminders, or?
No, it's up until a few months ago. I actually didn't struggle that much with eating. It's the more and more I've gotten into, let's see, testing for ADHD, then having to go private because the public health care system couldn't. They said, well, we can't conclude. So I had to go through the process of finding someone in private care. Found someone, was referred, actually got in to see them semi-quickly, got diagnosed, and then got referred to a psychiatrist and waited about 3 months to even get an appointment. And then that person goes out sick, and that's almost a month ago. Well, 3 weeks ago now. So the waiting to get help is actually worse when you don't have a clue when it's going to happen.
I agree. Yeah, no, the anticipation. It's just not helpful, really, to anything, I'm sure. Can I ask you, what was your specific trauma related to eating disorder, or that caused the eating disorder?
I was abused in many, many different ways. I'm not going to go into graphic details because it's bad. But I can say that it was emotional, verbal, physical, sexual, and more.
As always, whatever you're comfortable with, so that's fine. I wouldn't want to press anyone for details.
No, it's more the graphical
Yeah,
things
yeah, yeah.
are very, very triggering.
I understand. No, absolutely. For both yourself and for mostly
For
just yourself
others,
as
actually, I'm
others
I'm
as well,
okay
yeah.
with it. Yeah.
I mean, if it's it, so I always have this thing where I tell people like you're allowed to say as much as you want to as you deem necessary to best tell your story.
Mhm.
And I do give I usually genuinely give content warnings at the beginning of my chats if it's going to include like stuff about that. I mean, just the eating disorder in general.
Yeah.
Is a whole heckin' thing. I had a command for another charity. Oh my gosh, I'm literally failing. Someone else is gonna remember what charity we just did like 2 months ago that dealt with sexual assault. It's escaping me. I'm literally gonna look it up. But at any rate, so if it's important to you to talk about it, you can. If it's important for the story, you can. You are allowed to express your story in whatever way is necessary,
Yeah.
and people are allowed to come and go as they please. But all that being said, so you went through a pretty horrific, traumatic experience.
I
It
can say
seems.
that it was over time, many times over several years.
So this was, I'm guessing, growing up.
Yes.
Okay. And what relationship did food have to this? Was it kind of like food was forced on you, or?
No, it was the quite stereotypical. I don't like my body, and I want to change it, but I don't think it was in the beginning very conscious. I think it was the bad self, like what is it, self-esteem, low self-esteem, and all that, that made it a start. And then, as I discovered around mid-teens, a year or two into the eating disorder issues, what was happening and that I could change my body, I was actually getting thin. And in some weird, not weird way, it's quite typical of anorexia, that is seen as a positive even though it's not. Because it's totally unhealthy, and I had very unhealthy relationship with food and with eating and with my own body.
So, and this was kind of like pressed on you at an early age by the abusers, or just by like, society in general?
I will say, when you don't get to decide over your own body, that I think there is a mechanism there going later on when you can decide, even though it's a bad way of deciding when it comes to anorexia and losing weight and stuff like that. It's a way to have control of your own body that you didn't have before, because somebody else took that control away from you.
Yeah, I agree. It's literally horrific. It's war crime level shit there. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's literally fucking.
It is criminal.
It's awful. It's criminal. I sincerely hope whoever it was in your life, that perpetrated this against you is rotting in hell or jail or somewhere else.
Thankfully not alive anymore, but yeah.
Good. Fuck them. Fuck abusers, man.
Yep, agreed.
So, how does... Do you... I'm trying to find out where to take this right now. Do you also deal with PTSD in regards to this? Because I'd be surprised if
I
no,
used to.
honestly. Okay.
I used to have PTSD. I do not anymore. I had PTSD from about 16 or 15 to 24. By then, I had been in therapy for 8 years and in active trauma processing for 4 years. The last 4 years of those 8. And I did not qualify anymore for PTSD. That is not to say I have zero triggers now, but they are very, very natural to the situation.
Right.
So people overstepping my boundaries in specific ways will get me, but it's not going to get me into a trauma response that is make me freeze and not be able to do anything. It is going to make me the opposite. I get angry, I yell, I get you the hell away from me type thing. Or I somehow get to a safe spot or safe space.
I mean, that just makes sense, right? Especially if the triggers are regarding, I mean, especially boundaries in regards to, like, you know, someone who is previously, I guess I'm putting words in your mouth here, but sexually, physically assaulted as well.
Yeah.
Throughout your life, you know, or throughout your childhood, I would say. You know, it just makes sense that's going to trigger some sort of trauma response, and the trauma response probably is going to be like, get the fuck away from me,
Yeah.
or something like that, something to that degree.
It's very natural to freeze as well if you have
Yeah,
had
absolutely.
that kind of experience. But I am the opposite. I will react with get away from me right now. But I also have zero trust in going certain places alone. I always have the buddy system when I go places.
Absolutely.
But I think that's not just good, smart for people who are trauma survivors. I think that's smart for everybody. And I don't talk about just women, I talk about everybody. Make sure that if you go to places that are not necessarily all that safe, don't be alone.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's a very, and I'm sure it also exists in other, I know it exists in other countries. You know, there is effectively what is colloquially known as rape culture of you know, kind of like it's somehow magically on women to not get raped and not put themselves in situations to be, you know, assaulted. And I think that's fucking stupid. Like, just tell people not to rape people. Like, hello, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like using the R word either. I typically don't like that word in my chat.
No, but that is an expression. And yes,
expression.
that culture does exist over here as well. Unfortunately, I think it's a worldwide issue. Some places more than others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It depends on location a lot of times. I know America has a very, very strong, like, that super sexist base of, you know, people who are like, oh, women. Like, how about maybe stop harassing women? That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Love that.
I really think that everybody who wants to harass other people should stop.
I think people who want to harass other people should get punched in the face. That's
well,
just
I'm not
me.
going to be the one to punch them because I'm small. I'm 5'1".
You're 5'1"?
Yep.
Come on, Frankie is 5 foot and full of anger.
Well, yeah,
they will
but
punch a
I
bitch.
know I don't win against someone who's a lot taller and bigger and stronger than me. So I'm not going to be the one to punch. I'm going to be the one to get away. And sometimes and often actually have someone much stronger than me beside me.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think, you know, I think honestly, your own personal safety needs to come first in any kind of situation like that, you know.
Yep.
I know I like to joke around here a lot about, like, you know, how much I'd like to fucking punch some people out.
It's a natural reaction. You get angry. You get really upset.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and our anger is
I
absolutely
get that.
fucking justified. Against any abusers, sexual assaulters, rapists, etc., so forth. Like, I just don't feel good about. I don't feel bad about them. You know, like, they full fucking knew, and sexist as well. I think sexists are basically just rape apologists, and I know I'm probably gonna get canceled for that fucking take, but like, dead ass. If you're sexist, like, you're just enabling other people to, like, do worse shit. And that's kind of the pipeline of hate anyway. That's how it works for racism. That's how it works for sexism. That's how it works for most fucking hate spirals. Of all the people who are like, well, it's okay to mistreat these people because of identities that they literally can't control. And I'm like, you are part of the problem, sir. You might not directly commit the crimes, but you are part of the problem. Like, ugh. That's how culture works. As you normalize the
That's
shit.
why we're out here telling people differently.
Mhm.
And maybe sometimes, not maybe, sometimes people actually listen.
So
In
far
my
I've gotten...
6.5 years, over
Mhm.
6.5 years now, on Twitch, I have been able to see that we can make a difference one person at a time.
Absolutely. I do highly believe in that. I believe that we can help people. I believe that we can not only help people understand and learn, but we can also help people who already are in the know to feel safe and supported and feel empowered, actually, to try to, you know, make an impact in their communities as well. And sometimes it's a really tough sell for someone, because, like, someone might feel very, very hopeless and helpless about, like, well, what can I do? And oftentimes, you know, a lot of it might include, like, money, and sometimes we don't have money, you know? But there's other things you can do, too. It's just literally, like, being a part of the culture of stopping those kind of conversations when they're happening within your friend group, but then they're happening within, like, a co-working experience, like, in a work experience, like, being like, hey, this isn't okay. Like, we can't talk about these people like that. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, just
learning
simple acts like that.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And learning ourselves to change our language.
Absolutely.
I did start several years ago on figuring out certain words that were in my vocabulary that I didn't really realize were there.
Right.
And I changed them. And actually, to the point of some of them, I don't even remember anymore. I just have the new words as a natural part of my daily language.
Right, exactly. And language evolves, and, you know, identity and terminology evolves as well with, you know, various groups. I know, I mean, I'm not going to mention it. That's just, like, how it is in any kind of circle, is that the terminology just constantly changes. Like, I'm not even going to give an example. No, I will give an example. I'll give an example because I know this word is very charged for people in America, but it somehow is not so much in Europe, I've found, is the R slur, and I won't even say it. But, like, the R
It
slur...
is actually a big no-no here, too.
It is a no-no there?
Oh, yeah.
That's wild, because I've heard literally the opposite. I've literally heard
Depends
the
on which
opposite.
country, I think.
I think it depends on the
There's
country,
some
too.
countries where it's said so much
Right.
that basically people go, but it's a normal part of the language. And when people say that, I say, but it doesn't have to be.
But is it a
We
normal
can
part of the language,
start
or is
and
it just
say,
normalized? You know, that's my real
yeah,
question.
it's like we had some words in Norwegian 20 years ago, right? That were really commonly used, but now people don't use them in everyday language anymore. They've found other words to use that are way
Right.
better. They were slurs for other things than that word.
Right. But
yeah, no, it is
yeah.
definitely a nope here too. And if people start saying that word here, there are many people going, "Did you just say that?"
Right. I'm glad that that is the case, but I have unfortunately heard the experience that it does. I guess it does depend on country.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, well, it's just not a big deal here. It's just normal part of the language. And, like, here it's just like, no, like, that word has, like, so many connotations and meanings, and they used to fucking use that word to, like it used to be like a medical term, and then it turned into, like, a really big, you know, insult, basically, and a slur.
I have a feeling too that it depends a little bit on which layer of society you're in.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because I've been in many layers of society, and I have also got contacts in different layers of society outside of Norway. And I see very easily that in certain layers of society, I'm not going to categorize or identify which ones, but I will say that in upper layers, more like high social status places, people are more not aware, but more cautious because of what the facade is going to be. Like, what are people going to think of them if they say that word or this other word that they shouldn't be using? And that culture has been around for a while. I gotta watch it so that people don't think bad of me. Which is not really bad in that context, but in the big picture it is.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's I don't know. I think small or big, it's kind of is bad because it's just like, why do you need an excuse to just like be respectful?
A human being that has accept and respect for other people.
Yeah, like, why do you need an excuse? Why do you? I don't know. It's
so
to me, it's in like the similar vein of like, I treat people. I don't know. It's always a fucking controversial bring up religion, but like to me, it's in the same kind of vein of just like, well, I'm not a good person unless I'm a Christian, and I'm like, you could just be a good person, like, you don't.
Being a good person is a choice you make regardless of what you believe in. I am a person of faith, and I still don't say that I am a person of faith, therefore I am a good person. I choose to be a good person. I choose to treat other people well. And, it doesn't have to do with the faith, though. My faith does say I need to treat people with kindness and love and acceptance and respect and that.
Which, by the way, sorry, spoiler warning to any non-Christians in the chat, every other fucking religion also says that. Like, all religions are literally just, like, codes of ethics and morals of, like, hey, maybe treat other people well.
Yep.
Like, literally.
But about language,
so it's just
we were
wild
talking
to me when
about
people
that.
use it as hate.
You said one word, you said the first letter of that word. I have one word that I personally cut out of my vocabulary. And that is, people say, this is quote unquote, that is so crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
I'm a mental health advocate, and I have been since before I was on Twitch. Or any other social media for that matter. And I went, you know what? I can't do that.
Right.
I'm sitting here talking about mental health. And no, I can't do that. I can't say that. And then I decided, okay, what can I say instead? And I found several alternatives. So I started going, okay, if I meant that is really wild, why not say that's really wild?
Yeah, I go with wild usually.
And if something is like really, really frustrating and upsetting, well, then I'll say, that makes me so upset, or that makes me so frustrated, instead of saying, that is so crazy. So that's the only times you will hear me say that, that one word, because it's not a thing for me anymore. And I hear people say that so often, they're not thinking about what they're saying.
No. Yeah. And I'm
how it can
guilty
feel
of that. I'm guilty of that sometimes, honestly.
But you're aware and you're working on it, though.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I try to cut out insane. I think insane is not helpful.
It's the same line of...
same line is crazy.
You're basically saying something about someone's mental health. And I'm not talking about you specifically, but people who use those words. You're talking about someone whose mental health is really, really a challenge. They're having a really tough time. And that's not going to get better if we call that insane or crazy.
Right, absolutely. I agree. I agree entirely. One actually I was told about recently that I'm trying to cut out is... I didn't know about this one. Stupid.
Yes.
It's another one.
I don't say that either because of the connotation of that was used to describe people who are mentally challenged in some way. And not even that expression is something I'm really comfortable with. But having developmental delays, having Down syndrome or learning disabilities or something, people have been called that word, and no, that's not fine. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, no, it does feel bad. although the Pepe is not exactly a friendly character either, as we've come to know.
Oh no, I'm not using that emote.
No, I know. I have Pepe as banned term in my chat anyway, so I shouldn't be using it if people wanted it to.
The expression of feels bad is way older than that frog is.
Feels bad. Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yep.
And it's rough. It is rough because I feel like there's this. Man, we've gone off on such a nice tangent instead of your mental health. This is great. This happens every mental
It's
health
about
Monday.
mental health, though.
It is
And it's
about mental health.
related.
No, I agree. It's just interesting to me because I know the arguments, and like I have these same arguments in my head, and I kind of bash myself a little bit for having the same arguments in my head of like, okay, then what word do I use? Like, what words are okay? And it's like, well, maybe like pick up a thesaurus, you know,
Or
like
speak to other people
speak to other people about
in
it. Yeah,
a text chat in Discord or something like that. Or
yeah,
even ask on Twitter, what words would you be using?
right. I don't know. Just sometimes when I hear like Reddit stories or whatever, I'm just like, wow, this person is just not at all there. Like they're not educated. They're treating this person badly. Like it's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually say I call them stupid because I'm just like, stupid people. Like, what the fuck are they doing? They're hurting other people. Why would they do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
What I go,
I just don't
what I
understand.
do is I don't even have words sometimes. I'm just
Yeah.
really frustrated at them, so I go, oh, people sometimes.
People. Yeah. People suck is kind of
Yeah, like
one of my
the,
defaults
oh,
sometimes.
oh no, I can't with these people. That's my
I
go-to.
really can't.
Yep.
Honestly, it's pretty good. Pretty good go-to. All right, let me try to get us back on track. All right, let me actually ask you from this. Let me try to connect it. How has learning and relearning language for you affected your mental health? How has that journey gone for you?
I will say that when it comes to mental health and language, I will say I have learned long before that I got to deal a lot better with my mental health in general before I started the journey to change my language. So it's not really that connected. So I'm not really sure how to answer that.
So it was just kind of, so for you it was just kind of like really easy to start like basically like kind of calling yourself out and stopping yourself before saying
Yeah.
something, and then
Because
changing
of
your
being
language
an
up.
activist for so many years before,
Mhm.
before even going online for things, I was actually
Yeah.
on email lists way back then, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, jeez. Jeez. You're older than me, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Not giving a number, though. I don't do
I never
that,
said you
unfortunately.
have to.
Nope.
I don't know who Barnaby is, babe. Um... Don't worry about it. I'm doing Mental Health Monday right now. Anyway. What? I'm doing Mental Health Monday right now. I know. I told you I'm doing a Mental Health Monday at 1 in the afternoon. Because European. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
That's okay.
Okay, so that doesn't connect with you. But what has worked for you in the past in your struggles with eating disorders, with ADHD, with PTSD? What has worked for you in the past that continues to work now? And what is something that's worked in the past that doesn't work for you anymore, but might work for someone else?
When it comes to eating disorders, I did do therapy with someone who did have a good clue on both trauma and on eating disorders.
Right. So it was like trauma-informed eating disorder treatment?
No, it was actually more
Oh.
trauma processing than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the person had a very good insight on eating disorders as well and could connect the threads and go, okay, but is this connected? Ask the right questions. And then also make me think about why was I doing XYZ thing. And I think that helped me a lot. But also having a supportive network. I have a partner who I've been with for over 20 years, married to for very soon 19 years.
Congrats.
And my partner was really, really important in that setting. But also friends that I had who were informed about what I was dealing with, and also informed about certain triggers they really shouldn't be saying or doing. Because especially when it comes to having an eating disorder, regardless of which one, there will be some things that get you more than others.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be individual. So you as a person who deal with eating disorders, I'm talking to as if people are here listening and have an eating disorder in this case, is you are the only person, maybe along with a therapist if you have access to one, or a support group of some kind, that can figure out what triggers those are. But having a supportive network of, be it a support group, friends, even online friends that are online are also real friends, just saying.
Oh, I agree. Completely agree.
And therapy, if you can't access them, helplines, definitely. We didn't have that many helplines back when I was dealing with both PTSD and anorexia, but we had a couple, and I did utilize them a couple of times.
What do the helplines do?
So, say that I was in not maybe a crisis, as in content warning for suicide. Maybe not that I was suicidal, but I was in a crisis. I was really struggling, and I could sit down and talk to someone who were trained in listening and could ask some questions and try and help me figure out whether things that I could do to ground myself and to support myself where I was at. I lived alone for those years in my teens because I was in school or far away from home. But they were helpful in helping me get through that night, maybe, or that day. And then sometimes the helplines might know of resources that are helpful, like organizations, support organizations in your state or your region of the country, or your province if it's in Canada.
So they kind of help. Do they connect you with services at all, or is it just kind of like?
Some do.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
If you want them to basically give you information on how to get in contact with them, some of the helplines do that.
That's pretty freaking cool, actually, genuinely. Because I know a lot of people over here in the States often have trouble getting connected with services, period. I mean, I know that can be a global issue as well. Getting connected to services is always a really, really tough thing to do because, like, oftentimes people don't feel really empowered. They feel like they just don't have any resources. You know, they're living in kind of a dead zone of resources. And generally,
That's
like,
why we're so grateful for internet.
yes, true. Because online services do exist, and some of them can even be covered by insurance as well, which is fucking huge and amazing. And that's why I
And
try to
many of these
share many
resources are
resources.
free. Like when you can chat with certain helplines based in the US and or Canada. You can call with here in Norway we have a couple of helplines where you can call with your regular cell phone, and usually people's phone plans are like unlimited. Really, in practice, it's like 20,000 minutes, but you can call those phone numbers without paying extra. But there are also some lines that have texting. So if you're in a situation where you can't talk on voice, you can't use that. Maybe because you're in a situation where other people around you are not safe, or you, for instance, have you're deaf or hard of hearing. I'm hard of hearing in one ear, but I can use a phone and voice like this because I'm hearing really, really well in the other ear.
Right. Sorry, I just shared the text line
I
resources, which is the
saw
one I have.
Samaritans. I've actually been part of fundraising for them together
Have
with
you?
someone else
That's pretty great.
before.
Yeah, that's the one that I know of, but I am always willing and wanting
There's
more
one that I
resources.
think you very much well know of, a
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Project, based
Yes.
in the US. But do
Oh,
they
yeah,
have
that.
Canadian connection as well?
I don't know off the top of my head, honestly.
But at least Trevor Project is based on, or it's for young people, young adults, um, that deal with that there are LGBTQIA plus that are dealing with
I
stuff
forgot the
that they
command.
need support with. Um, Trevor is Trevor, I believe, but I don't know if you have a command for it.
I
But
don't know. Oh, okay. RTS bot is down right now.
oh, okay.
I
But
have a
anyway, it's
real-time support spot. Yeah.
trevorproject.com, I believe.
Yes, it is. It's in my panels down below. I know there.
Okay.
If I look up Trevor Project Canada, let's see what we say. Just as an American organization, so.
Okay. But there are helplines for people in Canada as well,
No.
but I don't right now off the top of my head have the names of them.
Actually, this one's WAV actually is, well, it's not, well, no, I'm sorry, that's not specific LGBTQ, but they are Canadian-based, both a helpline, connection line. They do deal mostly with survivors of sexual violence, sexualized violence.
Mm-hmm.
But they might also have other connections to other services. So they basically treat everyone and anyone. So.
But your question was, how did I get help, or what was it that helped me?
What has
And I will
helped
say
you
that
in the
helplines
past?
were important in those instances that
Right.
I needed them. The support from other people around me, including my partner, who I actually became friends with in the middle of the worst of this. And then we became an item. And oh yikes, my partner has had to deal with so much, but I stood through it all, and I don't know that I would be here without my partner. As in, I would not be alive now without my partner.
That's awesome. It's fucking amazing. Honestly, hats off to them.
Yep.
Also, I just found one, which is called lifevoice.ca. And yeah, it's based in Canada, but it also has, oh, there's Trans Lifeline for the Canadian Trans Lifeline. They have the Trevor Project number there, LGBTQ
Okay.
Lifeline as well.
Yep.
It's actually pretty good, actually. Skylight Blue, you can DM me. You can DM me later. We're not discussing this right now on stream. Oh, what do you mean there's already a command with that trigger? There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
I have the Trevor Project command. I'm so mad. How could I not find it before? Oh my god.
You can figure it out later.
I'll figure it out later, but yeah. Okay, there we go. I'll do that. But yeah, so Crisis Lines really helped you, and your partner really helped you get through those tough periods of your time. What helps you now? Friends also.
Yeah.
What helps you now?
Now, I would say supportive friends and family, a partner that's very supportive. I would definitely say communities that I've gotten to know, people that I've gotten to know through Twitch, but also through Twitter, and
Yes.
some a group of people specifically that I got to know through Someone on Twitter, we're doing ADHD podcast together. They very much deserve a mention because, oh, yikes, I don't know how would I would have coped the past almost a year without that group of people. But yeah, having a supportive network, I think, is the overall topic, including people closer to you, but also peers. Don't underestimate the Twitch live stream communities,
I agree.
but also the contact through Discord, through Twitter.
Yeah.
And yes, Twitter can be a cesspool of a lot of icky, but if you curate your space on Twitter,
Yeah,
it can actually be amazing, and that's what I've been doing.
I mean, I think that's inherent in any online space nowadays.
Yes.
Anyways, like if you curate yourself, if you curate who you're friends with, who you're connected with, who you're following, you can find really amazing, uplifting stories, experiences, resources. It's really cool. Like the tool of Twitter, the tool of even Facebook, which I know can be a side giant cesspool, um, can be really helpful as well. Weird to say.
I have this group of people that I hang out with once a week in the late night time, my time, which is not bad really because I'm usually up until like 2 a.m. my time.
Oh, jeez.
My sleep rhythm is different than most people's. It's just how it is. It's
Sure.
a physical condition, and it's okay. But having that group of people that I've hung out with basically for the last 2.5, 3 years, almost weekly, and then I have a group of people where we at least hang out a couple of times per month, and usually the same group of people where we deep dive a little bit more into how are we doing, can we give each other peers type tips, not advice as anyone is professional, even though maybe someone in that group is. It's always peers giving each other support and tips that maybe has helped us, right?
Absolutely. To go off on a tiny rant here, and not just because it's a self-serving rant, because I know it is a self-serving rant, but I really genuinely appreciate the amount of peer support communities I've managed to find here on Twitch and mental health focused streamers and communities. I think everyone is like very unique in the way that they do peer support or mental health help, or resource sharing. But I kind of appreciate the variety of it because everyone needs something a little different. I know my community is not necessarily for everyone, but I would like it to be for a lot of people. And I'd also would like to do this full time eventually. And we're making our way there, making our way slowly but surely, getting discovered. YouTube is the future, unfortunately, so I have to get better on editing. But whatever. Tiny rant over. All things considered, don't discount online communities from being a really awesome place where you can find not only friends but also real support with real humans. But at the end of the day, I always will stress like boundaries are a must in most communities. Like, in fact, all communities like that should and definitely do have various boundaries related to whether it's peer support or other kind of help that they can provide you, because at the end of the day, the only person that can be a professional for you is someone who is professionally trained and you've entered into like a very specific therapeutic contract with them regarding your treatment, and that's like through whatever online site you're going to go through. So, and that's why I always say, I'm nobody's online therapist. Yes, I am trained. Yes, I have training. Yes, I will provide peer support, and I ultimately want other people to provide peer support to everyone else in the chat and the Discord, etc., so forth. I cannot be anyone's therapist. I'm not going to engage people, or if someone engages me in a 1v1 in conversation that kind of like borderlines on like they're looking for mental health help from me specifically and talking to me specifically, I'll usually be like, could you please put this in mental health event? Like, this is not appropriate. I need you to utilize the community that I've set up and not just try to target me singularly. Like, if you want to talk to me as a friend, that's fine. I don't mind making new friends, but unfortunately, I have to set this boundary for myself because there's been so many instances in my life before streaming where people would message me or people would kind of effectively just use me as their, pseudo therapist.
Same.
And I can't do that. I think it would be ingenuine to try to continue to do something like that for someone.
Hmm.
And I think it just leads down a very bad path, unfortunately.
I do have some training in the background too. I did
Yeah.
study psychology, not at university level, but I have studied it. And I did continue to study without having any papers on that. Uh, but it doesn't mean that I am going to sit there and be basically loaded with all of the issues. Yes, I will
Right.
speak to a friend, and I mean a friend, not just a peer in private. Um, and we can share, and it goes both ways. That's very different from someone that I met a couple of times online, and they saw that I am a person that they feel like they can trust, and then they DM me. I'll actually say, okay, but can you put that, like you said, in that channel?
Yep.
Or I will actually give them a resource that is relevant to what they're talking about, a helpline or a chat, text line, or whatever it is, and say that that is more than I can help you with, setting that boundary really clear and firm. And
Yeah.
if
You
we're
know.
in a mental health space, not just as the streamers, but people in the communities, I've seen that some of the people who are regulars in communities end up getting DMs, the direct messages on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
or on Discord. And that's a boundary that is not that nice to
Yeah.
step over. Ask before you DM.
Right.
Is it okay if I DM you
Yeah.
about this? Because then they will say, I would prefer not, or yes, but, and then
Right.
stipulations. But just have the boundaries really clear, no matter if you're the streamer, the moderator, the community member, and set boundaries for yourself in, okay, I can cope with seeing this talked about, but earlier today, like on this episode, we talked about some things that maybe some people had to set a boundary for themselves and walk away from, and then maybe they came back when we didn't talk about it anymore.
Right. And that's fine. I don't mind people walking away and respecting themselves.
Hmm.
Um, that's fine. I wouldn't get upset about that, but I do get upset when people overstep those boundaries or, kind of like make assumptions that someone's DMs are open. And I say my DMs are open, but, I feel like people don't read the rules then, at that
Mm.
point, because they're just like, I can just dump on Waba. And I'm like, no. I would like you to not, you know? Like, I give very specific times, places, locations to dump. You can emotional dump. You can vent. Usually during Mental Health Monday, people can vent. Like, I open the
Hmm.
floor. I tell people I delete that portion of the VOD later anyway to make it even safer to do so. And also mental health vent channel is there, and everyone there is there to help, love, and support you, even if it might not have like a text response, even just like an emoji of just like being like, heart, you're loved, you're hugged, or whatever, you know, shit sucks, you know. Um, that's what peer support's about, is, trying to be there for one another, but it doesn't mean that like someone has to play therapist just because they responded to you. And I often try to catch myself from trying to play therapist with people, and I'm just kind of like, hey,
I
you
have
know,
a basically a comment on the boundaries part.
mm,
There are there are some people saying, well, don't trauma dump. But
I
what
don't
does
like
actually
that.
trauma dumping mean? And for me, it means one thing, whereas for example,
Yeah,
Waba, it could mean something else.
it does.
Or for other mental health streamers or people who talk a lot about mental health on their streams.
I agree. Can we define it then?
So what would you call trauma dumping?
So I really like the definition that I heard from that particular Twitter thread that was going around. That kind of blew up a couple months ago, and I actually made a video about it, my reaction to it. Um, and basically, their definition of what trauma dumping was uninvited dumping of an uninvited telling of heavy emotions, traumatic stories, graphic details, etc., so forth. It was basically uninvited, not asked for, not even asked permission for, just kind of like all of a sudden someone comes in a chat and is like, wabam, this fucking super shitty thing happened to me, and here's all the graphic, gory details.
Because for me personally,
yeah.
I can say what I do in my channel. I can't speak for other people. Is that it's okay to say, I am really struggling and this is why, but not going into graphic details, which can be
Yes.
extremely triggering for other people.
Yes.
There will be some people where that's okay, and they're going to go into the gory stuff. And I say, well, no, I'm not up for that. I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained to deal with that. And also, it's really, really potentially triggering for other people.
Yeah.
But I will say that, yes, in my space, you are able to speak about the fact that maybe, again, content warning for suicide, that you're feeling suicidal, but
Yeah.
not go into any details outside of that.
Right.
And then, if you are coming to me or us to say what's going on and you're feeling this, that when we tell you, please go call this number or text that helpline, or seek out your support system, asking if you have a plan for like self-care plan, crisis plan.
Yep.
That you are open to listening to it.
Yep. Absolutely. Because especially on Twitch, suicide is always a tricky one, and I always will immediately, if I ever get when in the past I have had people in here express that they were feeling suicidal, I was like, okay, well, listen, this is what you needed. This is what I need you to do, is I need you to contact this helpline. I need you to contact this text line or the helpline, whichever one you're connect with better, and you need to talk to them and tell them how you're feeling and what's going on. Because this isn't a crisis chat. This is not a crisis line. I'm not a crisis line. My community is not a crisis line. We're peer support, and there's an extent and boundaries to that, which means we can't be your therapist. We'll be your friend and we'll be supportive of you and we love you and stuff and all that other stuff, but we can't literally save you from killing yourself. We're not heroes, we're helpers.
Yeah. And we're peers. I really like how
exactly,
Jennifer says peers. That's a word that I said, can I take that from you? And she says, yep, go for it. I like that. Peers, because we are at the same level.
Yes.
We are supporting each other as peers. And that is also gonna not get into that really, really hard thing of defining what is friendship. Who's your friend and who's not, and all that kind of stuff. Because online friendship, that's a hard topic.
It is. I agree. I always take, just to get back to the boundaries thing, regarding my own chat and channel, my biggest focus and issue, I suppose, with the whole trauma dumping thing is when people come in hot with no context.
Yes.
I don't mind, and I even actively encourage, especially on Mental Health Monday, people being allowed to vent a little bit with, I kind of go on Dave's line of you can talk about how you're feeling, but please leave out any graphic details.
Yep.
And I think generally people understand what that means. And we hope that people will understand what that means, but I've had, unfortunately, a lot of frankly, kids come through my stream and have their time in my stream for a few months where they would kind of really overstep that, or they would come in hot in my chat and they'd be like, oh my god, Waba, my mom did this thing to me and da 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 da. I'm like, I was not prepared at all for this conversation. I have a timer as well. It's one of these timers that's probably going to come up any second now. That's just hey, maybe check in with the atmosphere before you chat, thanks, and say hi first. A first message could just be hi, Waba, how's it going? I'm not having too great of a day. That's fine. That doesn't inconvenience me or whatever the fuck your brain's gonna say about that.
Yeah.
But, saying, hi, Waba, my mom, did all XYZ things today, and I'm feeling super awful, fucking everything's bad. And I'm like, can we say hi first? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Like, it's rough. It's a really tricky line, I suppose. And I guess it can deter people from wanting to vent at all. But also it's just like, if we're, think about it this way. Like, I do more than just mental health, you know? I do more than just mental health. I also do variety game stream. And if I'm like playing a game, we're chilling, we're jamming, or we're like having like a funny, hype high moment, whatever. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
someone comes in the chat with that. It's just like,
You saw my grin, probably. It was I looked over at chat.
cock.
I have
Yes.
random people like that too. It's funny.
Which is fine. I don't mind that shit. But like, the
Yeah, the dropping things, very,
emotional
very big things.
the emotional
Uh,
whiplash, it's the
yeah,
emotional whiplash for me, where it's just, I really can't. It annoys me. It frankly annoys me when people do that, when people emotionally whiplash me and they don't at all at least fucking listen for like 2 seconds for the atmosphere of the stream,
yeah.
or they don't, or their first message isn't just like a hi, hello. I don't know. It throws me off. It always throws me off when someone comes in hot
That's going to be different for each
with no
person too,
regards to what's going
because
on.
I think I've gotten used to that level.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about someone randomly dropping in, it might be someone who's been there before, but suddenly they're saying something really dramatic, really big.
Right.
And
sometimes
it's
if they do
really
it,
emotional.
yeah.
And basically, you want to basically tell them, call that suicide hotline right now. That is different, very different.
I do not now. We have the not now command. We also have a timer that goes off. But yeah, it's the emotion. It's the whiplash.
And if you are, that's boundaries too. If you're a person who then somebody comes to and wants to talk about what's going on, yes, you're a friend of theirs, and normally you would be able to discuss these things, but today you are burnt out, you are done, you don't have it in you. And I have friends like where we can say to each other, okay, do you have the spoons or do you have the
Yes.
mind space today to
And that,
discuss that word, like one or two words about what's going on? And then the friend of mine might say, not
no,
today, and not even I'm sorry, but not
no,
today,
there's no
but
sorry.
let us talk in 2 days.
Yeah, no, there shouldn't be a sorry when setting a
No,
boundary.
we're not using the I apologize thing. I will not even, when I'm on stream, if I'm having a really bad day or a bad week or a month, because lately it's been really bad. I'm transparent. I'm gonna tell what's up, why it's going, what's going on, why is it bad now, and then not apologize for that.
Yeah,
I will say thank you for being patient with me,
yeah. Thank you for
because
understanding.
sometimes
Thank you for
people
listening.
need to be patient when you're dealing with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because mental health can be a lot sometimes. And,
Yeah.
I reserve the right in my own chat to talk about my mental health at any time. And people can talk about their mental health at pretty much any time, but I just ask people to read the room. That's it. That's it. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Am I silly for trying to enforce this, or for trying
No,
to have this boundary? Because sometimes I feel
no,
silly about it, and I felt silly about it for a while. Um, you know,
that's not
just like,
silly at all.
just
That's
like completely.
boundaries.
Yeah, it
It's
is
your
boundaries.
boundaries.
Here's the other piece of it. This is the other piece of it for me. Is that, as a peer support and mental health advocate person here, leader of a community here, the other part that I try to really, really stress, and some people sometimes really get upset about this, is that I don't owe anyone anything. The only person that I owe anything to is myself. I owe myself self-care and kindness and love. I don't owe anyone else anything. Like, if someone's demanding something of me, it's probably not gonna happen, you know? I only owe it to myself to take care of myself and do what's best for me and talk about what I want to talk about or play whatever the hell I want to play at the end of the day, you know?
And when you do set the boundaries, when you do play the games you like to play, when you do talk about things that you're interested in, but before that, even, when you do take care of yourself, that's when you're going to be able to do anything and be anything for anyone else.
Right.
Without that self-care, you're not good for anyone, not even for yourself.
I agree, because I used to be that kid, and I really was a kid at the time, that I wasn't taking care of myself, and I was like, well, I'm not doing well, but I feel better when I take care of other people, so I just took care of everyone else and put everyone else first and did everything else for everyone else, and, you know, just said, fuck it, I don't need self-care, I just need to help people, and that'll make me feel better, and that's how I'll cure my own mental health. Pro tip, doesn't fucking work like that.
Nope.
Oh. Alright, now that we're on this topic, and I love this topic because I love what you do. I love what you've been doing, what you do, what you mental health advocacy. You know we fucking mental health advocate here as well. Oof, ain't that a mood? Yeah, the let me take care of everyone else first before I take care of myself. Don't do it, kids. It's a trap. It is a mental trap. Don't do it. Let me ask you this, because this is the pop-up questions I've been asking. How has your mental health affected your content creation, and how has content creation affected your mental health? 6 years, you said.
Yeah, since
6
November
years.
2015, so just over 6.5 years now. Wow. I would not be in as good a place, and I say that even though I'm not in a good place right now.
Right.
I would be in such a much worse place, mentally and emotionally, without being in content creation, without live streaming. I have found networks of people. I've found some really good friends, and I don't call friends easily. Like, I don't say friends about someone easily, but I've found some really good friends. I've found some people that are really important to me through that, and I've found communities, like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Which has affected and still does affect my mental health in a really good way.
Similar.
Having that network is a really important thing, but also the fact that I'm live streaming, being there twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Like this week, I have a birthday coming up on Saturday, so
Happy
I'm
early
doing
birthday.
a Saturday stream this
Hell
week.
Yeah. When
I
are you
don't
doing your
normally
Saturday
do those.
stream?
What?
When are you doing your Saturday stream?
Saturday, 6 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. UK, 12 p.m. noon in Central European time. But I'm going for 5 hours, so even those not awake at 6 a.m. can get in an hour or two. Unless you sleep until 1 p.m., I can't help you.
Feels bad. I will try to pop by when I wake up.
But yeah, no, being in that space, having twice a week at a set time, two different days a week, being there, doing that thing, doing charity, doing advocacy for mental health, disabilities, and LGBTQIA+, has really gotten me in a... Like, I found meaning in doing all of those things. I was doing advocacy before that for all of the above, but I found a platform where I can do that from home on a platform that actually somebody else made, and even for free. And make a difference in a tiny way in each person, but also then with fundraising, raising awareness, helping people learn about different topics. But how content creation has affected my mental health, and how mental health has affected the content creation. I will say that my mental health has affected content creation by me being very transparent about what I'm dealing with. I understand a whole lot of what other people are dealing with. No, I'm not bipolar, so I can't know what it's like to be, for instance, in a manic state, for those who have the manic state.
Mm,
And I don't have
yeah.
borderline. I can't understand that part, but I can totally understand the anxiety, the depression. I understand it ADHD, even though years back I didn't know it was ADHD. Though I did understand it a couple of years back, and was entirely sure a year back.
And while we may not understand every like disorder or understand how exactly it feels, we can still feel for other people.
Yes.
I think that's one of the great strengths of being in this kind of line of work is that you get a vast. I am gonna call it a line of work actually.
It
Um,
is.
you get a very vast like differentiating experiences between person to person, even within like the same like diagnosis or general. I don't want to say diagnosis, more just kind of like within the same like people had similar mental health experiences, but they might have completely different similar mental health experiences or similar backgrounds, kind of thing, say so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, and you really get to learn to connect emotionally not only to those people but also to your own kind of emotions and how you're feeling and how you felt in the past.
And
um
my sharing how I'm doing, being transparent, is something that I have seen time and again. So many times people come and then say that, okay, I feel I can speak about these things in here, and it's because I'm being transparent and I'm saying this is what's up with me. And it's kind of this, if I wasn't transparent, how would
mhm.
people feel safe and know that I could understand them some?
That makes sense, yeah. I don't know, it's hard. It's hard sometimes when people aren't transparent, and I suppose that's their prerogative and they're allowed to like share or not share information.
It's up to
But
you. That's boundaries again. It's up to you how much
yeah,
to share.
absolutely.
I've shared a lot, but there are things that I haven't shared and that I
Same.
won't be sharing with anybody but my two or three closest friends and my partner.
Similar. Similar. And like I'm fairly fucking open. I call myself pretty much an open book. But
Myself too. I am too.
there is some like hard set boundaries that's like, and mostly it's stuff that like probably wouldn't normally come up in a streaming situation.
Hmm.
Um so I feel pretty confident in being pretty open about my life. But at the same time, like I don't expect that from other people. I encourage it. Certainly, I encourage people just to share stuff about themselves if they want to. And it's kind of like a tutorial on how to make friends and how to feel connected to people and how to feel connected to communities. Is I definitely will encourage, and other creators might encourage, um, you know, talking about yourself and telling the creator, telling the people in the community about yourself, more about yourself, learning things about yourself and others, and that's how friendship and community grows in general. But you're not obligated to, and you don't have to either. You can just be a silent lurker, silent supporter, and
Yeah.
that's cool too. Like, however much you want to engage or not engage with me as a person or as a creator is entirely up to you. And I really highly encourage anyone to definitely enforce those boundaries with yourself and just like be aware of that stuff. Because like I've had questions before. We're doing a new segment, by the way, which is Waba's Words of Wisdom. Um, I've actually gotten 2 responses since I've gotten 2 more responses that we have to get to eventually, and I'm very excited to answer those responses. But one of the words of wisdom questions and stories that we got, we were asking me, do you think content creators like brainwash their audience into like, being a part of the things? And I'm like, I don't think brainwash is the right word, but more it's kind of like they definitely encourage you to connect with them and themselves and their socials and all the other stuff, which will obviously build into like making it full time. But like also like check in with yourself. Are you putting in more to something that you're getting out? you know at the end of the
Yeah.
day, aren't I just an entertainer and a mental health advocate on the platform? I could be your friend, and I made a video with Ludwig's thumbnail that was just like, I could be your friend, but I'm not.
That is again a boundary thing, and it's also
Yes.
called, you got the expression right?
um
Parasocial relationships.
yes, parasocials.
So
Mm-hmm.
parasocial relationships is very much a thing, also in the mental health space. But it's good to be aware we're again talking about boundaries, that I, as a person who is the content creator, say here but no further. There are things I will share with the whole community, and then there are things that I will share with a very small group of people. And then there is some things that I'm only going to share with 2 or 3 of my closest friends and my partner, and that's it. And that people go and think because I share so many things about my life and mental health and how I'm feeling, which is not something they're used to from their culture, for instance. You don't talk about emotions. And then they think that I'm one of their really good friends because of that. Because they feel like they know me a whole lot.
See,
But
okay,
honestly,
yeah.
I don't really know them very well. And also, do I want to have 100 close friends? No, I
No.
can't. You can't stretch yourself that thin.
No, you can't. And that's fine. I'd rather, I don't know. I have a lot of trouble with interacting in the Twitch social sphere in general, because there's a lot of people that kind of like hide their intentions or have the intention of just like doing like the very weird follow for follow, support for support, like fucking
No, thanks.
loop train shit, and I'm just like, nah.
Yeah,
like,
no, thanks.
I'm here to make genuine connections with genuine people, and to
Yes.
that end, I very specifically seek out mental health focused streamers to connect with and maybe have a friendship with, maybe, you know. And this is there's a parasocial with, you know, streamer and content creator to viewer, and there's also a parasocial of fellow streamer to fellow streamer, of
Yes.
of having these weird expectations in your mind of just like, well, we're fellow streamers, so we obviously should follow each other and support each other and rate each other and fucking all this other stuff. I'm like,
Do I
no.
enjoy the community?
Like,
Example.
but do I like you? And do I
When
like
I
the
came
community?
into your stream the first time,
Yeah,
I'm
it's fine.
an observer. I say hello, and then I watch, and I listen, and I see what people in chat are saying if there is that happening, and
Right.
I go in with the fully open mind and going, what's this like?
Sure.
And then I start to go, do I enjoy it here? Yes or no, or don't know yet? If it's I don't know yet, I'll observe some more and maybe I take part a little bit here and there. And then I go, wait, you know what? This is my type of space. Okay, cool. That's what happened in this channel, in your channel. And then in a couple of other spaces, I went, yeah, they talk about mental health, but you know what? The rest of it doesn't click with me at all. So you know what? I'm just going to silently leave, not say anything, just go. And then I didn't return there. But more often than not, I've found that I observe and I like it and I come back.
I'm sorry. Was that still metaphorical, or were you talking about me specifically?
No, but in this case, I was using your chat as an example, your channel
shit.
as an example. And I do enjoy being here. I come back. You've seen me come back here. And I
That's
have
true.
a few other spaces like that too.
I don't know. I feel very self-conscious now. Thank you. I don't know.
You need to take the compliment because it is meant as a compliment and it is
I
also
know.
just facts.
I don't know. I'm blushing a little bit because like.
I thought that was my job, Waba.
Sorry. Damn it! I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that. I was gonna be like, wait, no, that's not really your.
My name is
your shtick.
BlushingCrafter, so.
No, because I'm just like, when you're talking about like the other types, I'm just like, that's me. That's the other types, because I just
No.
do like variety gaming content.
You know what that is?
No one
That
gives
is
a shit.
imposter syndrome, and that's a whole other topic we can do another day.
Listen, I have this tweet. It's a tweet to myself, but it's a tweet to everyone that I just retweet every so often because it's just very fucking true, and I'm gonna find it right now because it's beautiful. Which is, you know, the three staples. The three fucking staples. Three biggest mental health problems streamers and content creators face can be boiled down to this: imposter syndrome, I am not a real creator; burnout, at the same time I did too much; and grind culture, but I need to do more.
Agreed.
That's it. Fucking rinse, repeat. And I can actually apply to a lot of things, not just content creation, but
Yeah.
it is very big in content creation where people are just like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not a real creator because I don't have XYZ whatever expectations or metrics. I don't like metrics, man. I like metrics. I think metrics can paint a really interesting picture and can theoretically inform your content. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna do it what the fuck I want to do. And what I want to do is I want to talk about mental health, and I want people to talk to me about their mental health, and I want to help peer support them through their mental health, and I want to fucking cheer for people with their successes, but I also want to feel for people when they're not doing so well as well. Like, I want to be there for people in general. I want my community to be there for people at their lows and at their highs, you know?
Yeah.
And life is
Definitely.
fucking life is just life is a lot. Life is
So when it comes
overwhelming.
to mental health, for
It's
me
okay.
specifically,
Yeah.
and being in a space like this and a mental health space on Twitch, I find that I'm able to connect with people in a very specific way. People understand what I'm going through, but I also understand what they're going through. Not necessarily the exact same situations, but it's the same emotions. And
Yeah.
we can kind of not bond over it, but connect
Trauma
and
bonding.
support each other through that.
No, but yeah, it is a connection. It is like a genuine connection of just like, shit, like that was really rough for you, you know. And I feel very hard and heavy.
Heavy-hearted?
I feel, yeah, heavy
I don't know the
hearted.
word.
I don't know. What's English.
I know,
I
right?
uh the rest of this interview will now be in Swedish. Uh,
I can't speak Swedish. I can understand it.
oh shit. Wait, where were you born? I'm sorry to ask that, but
When you are a Norwegian, you very often understand a whole lot of Swedish. But fun fact, it's not the other way around. A lot of Swedes go, "What?"
really,
Mm.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool, actually. So what is your native language then? You would say
English and Norwegian.
English or
I'm
English
bilingual.
Norwegian? Nice. Okay. So the rest of the interview can continue in Norwegian then.
Do you know Norwegian?
I don't know. Do you know Norwegian?
I do.
You're on a 5-second delay, but I made a face at you. Oh my god. Anyway.
We were on a journey of mental health, my
Yes.
mental health journey, then a lot about mental health, and then where are we now?
I don't know. We're here. We're on twitch.tv/WabaStreams talking about mental health, how it's affected us, how it continues to affect us, communities that we've connected with, friends that we've connected with. We talked about parasocials, and we talked about creator parasocials, and how it can be difficult to kind of like find your people. I call it find your people, find your tribe,
Yeah.
of who you connect with the best, and who's going to, who's there for a reason and who's there for a season. And I try to be here for a reason for people.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to apologize for how this whole interview has gone, but this is where it's gone, and it's been pretty cool. And it's been really awesome talking
Now I
to you.
remember what I was trying to say earlier
Yes.
about the being in a space like this,
Yes.
and you're able to be there for someone. You were talking like about metrics being numbers.
Oh my god, yeah. People get
And for someone who
so
is in
obsessed.
content creation, I almost went into that spiral of looking at numbers. But somebody basically caught me and said, "Nah, don't do that. Don't even look at them until afterwards. Just don't look.
what I do.
Don't have them open."
I know
And-
you're not on my Discord, but I literally have a numbers channel, and the top pinned message is literally just like, ultimately, the numbers only matter for the extent of like convincing companies that like you matter or whatever, or like saying to Twitch, yes, I'm partner status. Community is what's more important, and I just post these numbers publicly to just be like, hey, this is how that stream went. This is what they say how the stream
Yeah.
went, and this is where we're
When
on
it
our
comes
journey.
to, for me specifically, uh, I have been saying this, and it's actually shown to be true multiple times. I can stream as if there are 20 people watching, but there are 3 people there lurking. Nobody is saying
Yes.
anything. But then, 2 days later, somebody said, "Oh, you know what?" in a private message to me. Uh, you know what? That day I was really, really struggling. It was really bad. It was very, very bad. But hanging out there made me get through that day. And in one case, the person said, "I actually lived that day because of you. Because you were live." And I went, "What the? Okay, this is why I'm doing this."
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
God, I
it's
fucking
worth it.
I
I
live
hope
for
that
those
person,
fucking messages and those days when someone
and
tells you that.
even if you don't get that message,
Yeah.
you were there. Maybe you gave some smiles to the people who were
Mm-hmm.
watching. Maybe you were able to lighten the day somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
or help them learn a new thing that they didn't learn and know before,
Yeah.
and that helped them somehow. Or
Exactly.
even like we've been talking about advocacy. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQIA plus advocate. We were
Mm-hmm.
talking about what does it mean to be bi, pan, gay, all that kind of thing, definitions. And someone
Mm-hmm.
came and said later, "You know what? Now I have a name for what I am," and that person is panromantic and pansexual, like I
Awesome.
am.
Hell yeah.
And I went, "Wow, you know what? I know I am doing these things now." Because people are coming in saying, "Wow, this helped me somehow."
I love it. I love it when people tell me that I've helped them because that's what I want.
But
I
they might
want to
not
help
tell
people.
you. They
They might not
might
tell me,
just be going on
and
with
I'm
their things, and they have learned something that
yeah.
helped them. They've learned about a resource that they contacted, an
Mm-hmm.
organization that they didn't know about before.
You know what's a really, and I'm not a metric person, but what the one metric that like makes me feel good about myself, and I know I probably shouldn't do this to myself, and I try not to. So I have two metrics. Metric one is what I tell myself, which is just like I consider having a great stream when I've made at least one person's day better, and that person can just be me. And 100% of my streams, I think 100% of my streams, I've always made myself happy with what I was doing, or I've entertained myself, or I was just jamming with myself, and that sounds really bad. And I was just having fun, and I was making my day a bit better because I was streaming, because I connected with people, or I talked to people, or I played a game that I really liked, or I talked about something that was really important to me. And then the other metric is seeing that bar graph on your stream, and not necessarily seeing it necessarily go up, but seeing it stay relatively stable. To me, that says that I'm holding really good space. And I know that that bar graph is ultimately tied to numbers, but I really fucking just love my lurkers, That's kind of
Yeah,
what it is for
lurkers are
me.
the lifeblood of Twitch.
Yeah, it's literally my lurk command, actually. It's literally my lurk command. There it is. Bam.
Yeah, it's actually a saying we've had on Twitch for years. That one.
I love it. I love the saying because it's true, and
Yep.
and I really
But
genuinely
when you talk
appreciate people who are
about
listening.
metrics,
Mm-hmm.
it is really important, no matter if it's a streamer or someone else, connecting your value to metrics, to
Yes.
numbers. It is so damaging. It is so
Yeah. No,
not
it is.
helpful.
Absolutely.
It can be real harmful if it goes too far. So
I agree.
please somehow disconnect yourself from your value is that number for whatever thing
No.
it is, not just Twitch viewers or YouTube stats. Try and do whatever you can to go, okay, these things have to do with XYZ. I'm live at 5 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be that many people around. And I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on for 4 hours.
Yeah.
People might start to wake up an hour before I end.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there happen to be some Europeans on.
No.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't matter to me when it comes to, was that stream worth it?
Mm-hmm.
There was one person listening, lurking, or maybe even 2 or 3, always for me at this point.
Right. Yeah, this is why I equate myself as that one person who's enjoyed themselves or like has gained something through it or made their day better, because I don't want to ever really connect numbers to my worth, and I've done it before, and I've like, I've fallen into that pitfall before, and like, that's not to say I don't get excited, because this is the problem, I guess it is for me. This is like the weird disconnect, is that I get really excited when I see numbers go up, and I think that's just like natural. But then I try not to get sad if numbers go down either. You know what I mean? Like I'll be hype, and I'll hype myself up, and I'll hype my community up for like really like super performing videos, or a really great stream or whatever. A really great stream number wise. But I also don't let it get me down when I have like kind of like a slow stream, or it's just like a chill lower than usual viewer stream. Like, it's whatever. It's MBD. Life happens. That's what I tell myself, is life happens. People got other stuff to do. People have other streamers that they watch, and that's cool. Have I entertained myself? Yes. Do I still have friends with some of the people in my community? Yes. Like, that's my value. My value is that I have friendships. I am and have provided value to these people, and I continue to provide value to the people that are here. And to the people that aren't here, then, it sucks. They missed out, but it's okay. There'll be another stream.
And it's also always okay to be excited if somebody raids you and they have 10 people with them, and you're used to raids of 3 people. It's totally okay to say, oh, wow, that's a big raid. Thank you. And then you treat every single person as if they were, like everybody else, like equal. It's not that that streamer is worth more because that person had 10 viewers, the other ones had 3. It's just that you are excited. That's totally okay.
I try to get excited for a 1-person raid, for a 100-person raid. I try to treat all raids absolutely the same.
My feeling when I get bigger raids are it's surprise. And then I'm just as thankful for them as I am for those that raid me with 1 or 2 or 3 people.
Absolutely. There's definitely that shock factor, which I don't mean to make people feel bad when it's like a raid of 3 compared to like a raid of like 17,000, whatever,
Yeah, that would actually like, even get
whoa,
me.
Right. Because it's like, well, that's a fucking big number, but like I will still treat you the same and say all the same shit.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I always think of it as like a performance under pressure type ish.
You don't expect it at all.
No.
And that's the thing. When I was on front page on Twitch, I will say that was something I knew about. I knew what could happen. I knew I had systems in place just in case something happened that wasn't good. But thankfully, nothing bad happened.
Right.
But I didn't know that I would be having a whole lot of people suddenly.
Yeah.
So that's different than a raid. But it was pressure. Oh, yoy.
I mean, as is, we had a raid during our talk today. Unfortunately, during Mental Health Monday, I kind of don't try to acknowledge alerts too much because I'm trying to like pay more attention to the guests. But I still try to thank them in chat and stuff, and let them know what's going on. But we always heckin' appreciate all the raids and the hosts and stuff. I turned down my host sounds, by the way, folks, so it's not as disruptive during Mental Health Monday. I figured it out. I did the big brain. Big smart. So anyway, we've gone for an hour and 40. How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
Okay. How would you feel about ending it off here for now? And we might pick this up another time and date to be decided.
Yeah, because there are so many things we could talk about.
There's so much cool shit I could talk to you about with mental health advocacy, because I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just like excited. I'm excited to be in this space, even after been doing it for like 2 years and maybe like years before then. Like I've always spoke out about mental health stuff, but now I'm doing it like kind of basically professionally. I'm trying to do it professionally.
More
It's neat.
organized,
It's exciting.
maybe?
Yeah, more organized, I think is the word
Yeah.
for it. More organized. I have a platform. I have an audience. You know, it's exciting. I'm really excited to talk more, privately and publicly, about it. So, yes. All right, kids. I love you all. I hope you're taking care of yourself out there. Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. Seriously, thank you for sharing your story, Blushing. Really do heckin' appreciate you. Loads.
Thank you for having me.
It was a blast. And get you heckin' shout out. Go check out BlushingCrafter if you wish to. If you liked what she had to say, that was not correct.
It was the ending of the name there.
Crafting. Oh my god. Nerves shot. I somehow didn't get a text from my work, so I'm kind of good right now. We're gonna go. Oh, perfect. Okay. We're gonna go raid up. We'll be on later at 7 p.m. Eastern, so that's in like 4 hours from now. To raid over to Team Sanity. I'm going to be featured on their channel as I'm applying to their team. And that's very exciting, and I'm very nervous about it. But you know, fingers crossed that goes well. But yeah, thank you again, Blushing, and goodbye to all the people in here. Let's go tell Up that we love him, and he's awesome. All right, send some love his way. All right, take care, y'all. Be on laters. All right, hope it goes well. Thank you. Yes, if you're asleep, go to sleep, JV. You're allowed to sleep. All my Europeans who are here right now, you're allowed to sleep at your normal time. I swear, you don't have to stay up for me. Oh my god, I love you all. All right, see yas.